Airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
Oregon is going to the Final Four.
The following is a Learfield presentation of the Oregon Sports Network.
And Oregon is going to play in the national championship game.
This is Oregon football.
It's about them going on the field and getting better.
He's gone. He's gone. See you later. Touchdown, Ducks.
We want to play with relentless effort. We want to attack the ball at a high level.
Pressure comes. They got him again.
And I want to see those guys playing for each other.
Gives it to James again, and he may go all the way. Goes in down the middle. There's Pez Johnson. Why not just score?
These guys come to work, man. They're wired the right way. Always about hearing the message, not the tone.
There's no place like Oregon. We do it different. We're growth mindset oriented and just great people.
This is the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Today's broadcast is also brought to you by Country Financial Insurance, protect what matters, and by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks! Drink Pepsi. Now let's go to the Country Financial Studios and talk Oregon Duck football.
Hey, welcome into our Oregon Coaches Football Show on a Wednesday night. Kind of a crazy week, short week. It's still adjusting to the fact that we were playing a Big Ten game at Pasadena. Did you guys ever get used to that? I still don't feel like we did. I had a question this week. Did it feel like it? I said, no, it was another Pac-12 game.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. I think, I don't know. First of all, the Rose Bowl never gets old.
No.
Just like Autzen Stadium never gets old.
Right.
But yeah, the Big Ten era is officially here. Now starting against Michigan State at home. It's here, you know.
It feels like it, too. I mean, I say it doesn't feel like it. It really does. We're in Big Ten football.
I got asked, and maybe you guys, similar to what you're alluding to, Jerry, I got asked if it felt different, did it feel weird pregame, and honestly it didn't. Like, I didn't think about the fact that there were Big Ten logos on the field at the Rose Bowl, but I did say that I reserve judgment for when it's a Big Ten game at Autzen Stadium. But you know, I think that I've heard Dan Lanning say this a time or two, that winning football is winning football. And now it just feels like it's football season, you know?
Yeah.
I think in the offseason, all the realignment stuff hit me a little bit more than I guess now. I don't know. Is that how you guys have felt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the logo on the field at the Rose Bowl.
That's the only thing.
When I looked at it, frankly, guys, I mean, when I sat there and looked down at it, I go, that shouldn't be there. That was kind of my attitude. Is it's not supposed to be there. We're at the Rose Bowl. Felt like a Pac-12 game. So that was the only thing to me that kind of stuck out that was different. Because we've played enough home games so far, and I'm getting used to that Big Ten logo, then it feels like we're part of the Big Ten Conference. But when you visit the Rose Bowl, it just didn't feel like that, and I'm sure it will in the future. As time goes on, we'll see. You know,
it's so funny because I hadn't really thought about it until you just asked, Jerry. But I feel like because there have been so many non-conference games, and the Ducks have played big non-conference games.
Just gonna say that. Yeah.
I don't know that it. Maybe it should be hitting me more than it is. Now I'm feeling bad about it, Jorgie.
No.
Like I'm thinking I should be.
No, I understand. But here's the part for me. We played at Wisconsin. We played at Michigan. We played at Illinois. We played at Purdue. It's just like we've already played in these venues.
Yeah.
I think it's going to take time for the Pac-12 to disappear in the rearview mirror before I really feel like it's Big Ten.
I think you just said it right there. It's just going to take time. It's going to take time. So, but always fun to go get a W.
That's right.
And even a stadium that doesn't look nearly as full as we see at a Rose Bowl. I mean, it was maybe 20,000. It felt like 25,000 actual bodies in there. But half of them were Duck fans, and it was a great performance by Oregon, particularly in the first half. I would say the first 29 minutes and 45 seconds of the first half. It was a great one play, and then they came back out in the second half and just really controlled the game.
And how amazing is it that one play makes you feel like, oh, there was more on the table there, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, and Dylan Gabriel would be the first to say that. And I think that speaks to how efficient and how good Dylan Gabriel has been, that he's had that one maybe glaring mistake, but other than that, he's been very efficient, very good. And yeah, certainly the feeling is different in the second half if the Ducks don't have a turnover in that situation and maybe do get it into the end zone themselves and score. But overall, a solid offensive performance, a great defensive performance. I don't care what level of football you're playing. If you do not allow a touchdown defensively, that's tough to do. And that's what Oregon's defense has done. I think that Oregon has consistently gotten better from week to week. We hear Coach Lanning all the time talk about that the Ducks are looking for consistency, and now another opportunity at home to show some of that consistency.
I really don't feel like Oregon's put together a complete ball game yet.
Probably
Would you
not.
agree?
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I think you're right. At Oregon State, as I say, Oregon State they did, but not in the first half defensively. I thought that Oregon State moved the ball decently in that type of deal. Isn't it funny how Kayvon Thibodeau, going back to UCLA, Kayvon Thibodeau's down on the sideline, and I felt like Jordan Birch and Derek Harmon basically were Kayvon Thibodeau from 2021 when he knocked DTR out of the game, was just in the middle and messing up everything. I felt like those two guys, particularly in the first half, just messed up everything.
Yeah.
Playing good football.
Kind of motivated them a little bit, he did.
Yeah, I think good progress, though, overall.
I
and
totally
now,
agree.
In front of the home crowd, it's the first week of classes. Students are back. Students are probably ready to blow off some steam on a Friday night. I look forward to being at Autzen Stadium. And guys, I mean, the things that transcend sports at its best brings people together, right? In a good way. And our friend Richard here in the studio is wearing some of the new Heroes uniform gear and stomping out cancer. This is bigger than sports, and the touches that the Lanning family has put on it, pretty special stuff. Stuff.
Their ice cream cone.
Part of the Jerry Allen food group right there.
I got to get that
Jerry
shirt
Allen
right there.
food group.
All right, let's get out of here. We'll come back. We're going to be joined by head coach Dan Lanning on our Pepsi coaches interview when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
More Duck football comes your way in 60 seconds.
Turns and gets into the end zone. Touchdown, Oregon. Touchdown, Ducks.
On the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
August was born 3 pounds, 9.8 ounces. When I first saw him, it was a whole range of emotions. There's stuff I still want to do. Being a young dad, it's not giving up. It's shifting. I look through his eyes. I can envision the whole future with him already. To throw the first football to him, give him ice cream for the first time. My life is now devoted to his life.
Through all of fatherhood's firsts, never stop being a dad. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
You took the first step and quit smoking, but even former smokers may still be at risk for lung cancer. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know about a new low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early. It takes only 60 seconds and could save your life. You took the first step, now take the next. Visit SaveByTheScan.org for a simple quiz to see if you're eligible and talk to your doctor about screening. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
You know you make me wanna kick my heels up and throw my hands up and throw my head back and come on now, so good to see you real.
Back on the Toyota Coaches Show here in the Country Financial Studio. The week moves up. So did our interview with Coach Lanning, our Pepsi head coach's interview with Dan Lanning.
It's a short week, Coach. That's the first thing I'm going to ask you is how do you shorten up a week?
Yeah, you actually plan for it in advance. You know, once we found out we were going to have some Friday games, we put together a schedule and then visited with some, people that we trust on, how they've handled that in the past. And really for us, what you do is you eliminate a Monday. you put the last game to bed a lot quicker against UCLA, and you kind of take a step forward. So we started with a Tuesday practice on Monday, or Wednesday practice on Tuesday. In football terms, you said we're Wednesday, but it's Thursday for us. So a little bit mode and temperament, and then you adjust just some of the schedule stuff you piece together.
Not that schedulers would ever do it to you, but at least you're home, right? At least you're not back-to-back road trips with a short week type of situation. Nice to be back home, isn't it?
Great being back home.
Okay, let me ask you about this short week. Who recovers or adjusts more quickly, coaches or players?
Well, players are malleable. They do a great job, but they're also the ones, fighting all the battles out there on the field. So, I don't know that it's easier for either one. You got to squeeze some action in quick, but I feel for the players. They're the ones that just played on Saturday, got to turn around and play on a short week.
One of the things you said, Dusty Hare, after the game this last week with UCLA is each week you feel like your team has improved each week. And now you got a short week, and I'm assuming you expect improvement out of them. So talk about the improvement that you feel like you've seen from week 1 to week 4, week 5, and how do you measure it?
I think it's just by taking great notes after every single week and saying what are the points of improvement we want to attack. And I think you've seen that. I've seen that with our guys. If there's something that we go in and we emphasize, you usually get what you emphasize. So I'm hoping to see that same thing show up. This week we saw some things in the UCLA game that we want to be able to do better, and we're going to hope that we attack that this week in this game.
You look at that UCLA game or any game. On Sunday, coaches are already looking at from the moment the game's over on. How do you break down a game as a coaching staff and then as players? Do you do it separately, then together? What is that process?
Yeah, we all watched the film on the plane ride back. So we landed here, late. It was after 3 a.m. But during that plane ride, you were watching, each phase kind of individually, and then we hop in together and, all right, here's what we saw, and here's what we need to attack and improve.
Did you go home?
I went home.
Okay.
I went home for about 2 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, I was home for about 2 hours and then back up here in the office.
We got to talk about these. I mean, I'm assuming the players are really excited to put those on, and what you and your family put together. Congrats, first of all, and we want to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, we had, I think our players are definitely excited about it. We had a great friend of the program, Ty DePauli, came by to practice earlier this week, and he's a guy that's been battling cancer, for quite some time and had quite the battle. And one thing that's unique about Ty is he actually has the different chemical formulas for the chemotherapy that he's taken. And one of the things that's really cool in these jerseys is they have the chemical formula for doxorubicin. It's what they call the red devil when it comes to chemotherapy. It's one of the hardest ones. And Ty actually has that tattooed on his chest in red, that formula. So there's a lot of pieces. I think every single person on our team's been affected by cancer, by somebody they love and care about. And it's certainly something that means a lot to us, so pretty neat to be able to put those together.
But this started with your family. I mean, this is a family thing. I mean, your wife, Sophia, your boys, all had input into this. How did this start?
The minute we got off the plane here as the head coach at Oregon, we were already greeted with Stomp Out Cancer. And obviously as T-shirts and gear, that had been a big part of what Oregon's done for a long time, is they've always recognized cancer awareness and been at the forefront of that. So the minute we got here, we were already, alert that that's something that occurs here. And then Nike and that team of people did an unbelievable job of connecting with Sophia and the boys and, figuring out what could make this work.
In Jerry's world, one of the major four food groups is ice cream.
Ice cream.
There you go.
So can you talk a little bit about the ice cream cone piece of it?
Yeah, well, one of the things that was unique, during Sophia being sick and being at the hospital is every time the boys would come up to the hospital, they got there's a freezer there that had ice cream in it. So we would consistently get ice cream up there at the hospital, and every once in a while we might make a trip at an ice cream spot on the way home. But I think, what first initiated it is, I believe it was Caden said, having ice cream or not having cancer is like having ice cream on a hot summer day. It kind of reminded us all of those moments being at the hospital, getting a little cup of ice cream, but also just that feeling.
Todd Van Horn, so instrumental in pulling us all together. He's remarkable, isn't he?
Yeah, Todd's unbelievable. That whole team is unbelievable. I mean, Quinn, everybody that's had a part in designing those, made it really, really special.
I'm going to give a little shout out, or I hope you will, to Kenny Farr. Kenny Farr he's
the GOAT.
He's a remarkable man. I mean, he's been here a while, so he has to be a key.
There's no doubt in my mind that Kenny Farr is the best equipment manager. Guy was open, wasn't he? Guy was open. You get a little juiced up. Plays like that, you see us execute it.
It was a nice ball.
It was a good ball. It was a good ball. And just didn't quite make it.
I know he started with an offensive play. I want to go to your defense. Defense really played lights out from beginning to end. Only 2 field goals. They gave up all game long. Just really good performance by your defense. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought, this is the best performance by our defensive line up front. I think they really created some negative plays, for the opponent, made it hard for them to be able to block them. When you're able to hold a team, make them one-dimensional and eliminate the rushing yards, I think it makes them play kind of left-handed. And this is a team that already passed the ball a lot, but if they're not able to establish the run game and they're not completing passes on first and second down, it makes for third and longs, and that gives you great opportunities to win.
More with Coach Lanning coming up. It is the Toyota Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
Wherever you are in life, once a duck, always a duck. That's OCCU. Since 1956, OCCU has helped the University of Oregon community take flight financially, like our remarkable checking and duck debit card that give duck fans more for the things they care about, more for the game, more for gear, more for a bright future. Earn interest, show your duck devotion, and start earning more today. Learn more at myoccu.org/getduckdebit.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
Football the way you like it.
Woo! That was some football.
The Oregon Ducks on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Substance use disorder and addiction is so isolating. And so, as a Black woman in recovery, hope must be loud. It grows louder when you ask for help and you're vulnerable. It is the thread that lets you know that no matter what happens, you will be okay.
When we learn the power of hope, recovery is possible. Find out how at startwithhope.com. Brought to you by the National Council for Mental Wellbeing, Shatterproof, and the Ad Council.
Back on the Toyota Coaches Show, part 2 of our conversation earlier today with head coach Dan Lanning.
Is it legal for a football player to wear a baseball glove out on the field? I mean, Boettcher, he got his first
illegal,
pick.
I believe.
Oh, illegal? That's too bad.
Yeah, he still got a pick anyway, right?
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he picked it off the ground. Very, very well done. I asked you earlier, how do you motivate players? How do you coach? What's the process to motivate players?
Yeah, it starts with bringing people in here that are motivated, right? And you talk about intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. At the end of the day, we want a team that's intrinsically motivated, that want to be great because they have a belief in themselves and a belief in this team. But also it is your job as a coach to figure out what motivates guys. And that's something we're always, looking to figure out and make sure we attack.
He's made a lot of plays on the ball, made a lot of tackles, but, we sit there and look at passes defended in the stats. When we take a look at those, Jordan Birch actually is high up there. So is Bryce Boettcher. He found his way to an interception, which he's been there consistently all season long.
Yeah, we chart production, for our team consistently, and there's something to be said for guys that always end up around the ball like Bryce, and he's always been one of our highest production leaders when it comes to at the end of the play. Bryce, for some reason ends up there, and that's because he plays with unbelievable effort and it has a great understanding of what we're trying to accomplish.
I also asked you this week about communication. The communication in your team right now, along the offensive line, the offense and the defense has gotten very, very good. That's something that you just don't, X's and O's. It's something that has to come almost naturally among players.
Oh, I don't know if it's natural. I think it's something you have to demand. But I think you can naturally go back and look how elite the communication was on this play, and then look at the result. And I think that's where it starts. You always talk about the process. And for you to have a great play on defense or offense or special teams, it starts with the communication, right? And that begins the process for that play to be successful.
I know on the offense it's a quarterback. On the defense, who are your leading?
It's everybody.
Everybody?
We talk about lines of communication. Obviously, we have the green dot. Our linebackers wear that, and they get communication from Coach Lapoy and our defensive staff. But outside of that, we talk about like the game telephone, right? I'm going to tell you a message. You're going to pass it on to Jerry. It's very similar on defense, especially when you're playing teams with tempo. So if I'm the corner, I got to communicate with the nickel. If I'm the nickel, I got to communicate with the defensive line or the safety. And we want to make sure we have that communication throughout the game.
It's funny. Joey Mac last week was talking about, we call it now the Joey Mac squeeze, okay? Mm-hmm. Your defensive line is just squeezing the pocket around the quarterback so well. Second half of that Oregon State game a couple weeks ago down at UCLA where there just weren't lanes to really run and then not lanes to throw either. What's been the kind of the secret sauce to guys really staying in their lanes and squeezing that pocket tight?
Yeah, pass rush is an art, and it's about understanding where you're at on the level of the quarterback. It'll be really important this week as we play Michigan State because they have a great quarterback when it comes to scrambles. But you have to be able to work in unison and make sure you're boxing in, the quarterback and staying balanced in your rush. You don't want to end up with 4 hats on one side and 1 hat on the other side of the center. So that's a really important piece of what we do.
Let's talk a little bit about Michigan State. Michigan State, a coach you're very familiar with. He's familiar with you. Yeah. Michigan State going to look like maybe Jonathan Smith coached Oregon State team, or do you expect differences?
I think there's definitely some similarities. They might be in 11 personnel a little bit more than what he was at Oregon State, but ultimately they present a lot of the same wrinkles that you'll see from some of those teams we played in the past. And one of the things that's unique is their ability to use a fullback at times in the system, line up in a little bit more 12 personnel where they create some bigger sets and establish the run. They've become a really good team when it comes to run and play action shots. They're always aggressive when it comes to special teams play, and they're playing really sound defense right now. So it looks like a team that that Jonathan's accustomed to putting together.
Seems like more than any team that I've seen thus far that you get ready to play, Aiden Childs has really thrown the ball vertically, hasn't he? Accurately.
Yeah, average depth of target is something that is a really common and exciting term for people in college football right now, but they push the ball down the field. They consistently take shots.
What do they do defensively that is, and I think I asked you this, really elite or different, or is it pretty much a base defense we see in college football?
Yeah, it's certainly a defense that exists in college football. It's not one that we've played necessarily at this point yet. A lot of variation, and what they do a good job is their pressures complement their base looks. So you have to do a good job post snap of taking the information in and figuring out exactly what it is.
Anytime you can make a team one-dimensional like you did with UCLA, and that's obviously the goal each week is to make them, or to eliminate both, but, make them one-dimensional.
Yeah, let's just take it all away.
Yeah, let's just take it all away. But Michigan State had a hard time running the ball against Ohio State last week, and it really made it difficult for them. That's obviously the goal this week for you guys, too.
Yeah, I'm game for that.
Yeah.
You go along with that? Yeah. I like that. All right, let's talk a little bit about students being back. This is going to be a different Autzen Stadium. And, it's been special so far this season. It's been packed. It's been loud. But the students bring a different level of intensity, and they're back. How excited is your team and your staff and you to get back to Autzen this week?
We love every opportunity we get to run into Autzen. It's one of the most unique and special venues in college football, and I know our students are going to make it that much better.
Looking forward to it. Huh?
Yeah, Friday night game.
Friday Night Lights. Is Friday Night Lights different?
Something.
Is it? We talk about it. Is it really feel different?
For me, it does. Yeah, for me, it reminds me of those days playing for the Richmond Spartans, right? Going back it's a night game. It's a little bit different. You're the only show in town, and that'll be exciting for our guys.
Can't wait.
Yeah. All right, Coach. It's a short week, short days for you. A lot to catch up on, a lot to squeeze in. We squeeze this down. We'll let you get out of here early and have a great rest of the week. And we'll talk to you on game day, which is very, very close.
Sounds good. Appreciate you guys.
Thanks for being there. Pepsi Coach's interview. Back with more. Joey Mac's got, I think, a guy that could be an outfielder or a football player. Right now he's a football player coming up next on the show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways OnPoint can help support your financial well-being. OnPoint Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Wherever you are in life, once a duck, always a duck. That's OCCU. Since 1956, OCCU has helped the University of Oregon community take flight financially. Like our remarkable checking and duck debit card that give duck fans more for the things they care about. More for the game, more for gear, more for a bright future. Earn interest, show your duck devotion, and start earning more today. Learn more at myoccu.org/getduckdebit.
More gridiron action in 1 minute.
Gonna throw. Oh, what a play for the middle. Touchdown, Oregon.
Coming your way on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always sing with me. So put your phone on D&D. That means that do not disturb when you're driving. And when you're going from point A to B, I need you to stay safe, please, so always remember this beat.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Babes, what are you doing?
What? I'm just mowing the lawn.
No, it's blazing hot and dry out here. Don't you remember? Smokey Bear says.
Avoid using power equipment when it's windy or dry.
Where'd you learn this?
Oh, it's on
SmokeyBear.com with many other wildfire prevention tips.
Right. Thanks, Honey Bear.
Because remember, only you can prevent wildfires.
Brought to you by the USDA Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
I want you to know. I said I want you to know right now. You've been good to me, baby.
It's the Toyota Coaches Show inside the Country Financial Studio. I'm Joey Mac. Pleasure to have Bryce Boettcher joining us in the Country Financial Studio. Bryce, first of all, just thanks for coming in, man. I know especially on a short week, there's a lot going on, so thanks for being here. Tell fans what your day was like today.
Yeah, you bet. Thanks for having me. Day-to-day was waking up at 6. We had breakfast at 7 o'clock in the HDC, so got a good meal in me. Meetings at 7:30 with Coach. So we started out with a team meeting, special teams meeting, OD, the whole shebang, practice after that. Got done around 11:30. Got some lunch, saw my girlfriend, and then on to some film study, getting ready for Michigan State by myself. And then afternoon was pretty free, no meetings this afternoon, and then popped in with you guys.
All right. Well, we appreciate your time. Okay, now it's the first time that Bryce has been in the studio. He's been on the pregame show. We've talked to him for baseball, but Bryce, we have a tradition when you come into the studio for the first time.
Okay, let's hear it.
You got to tell your 2-minute life story.
Oh, man, 2 minutes.
2 minutes. Now, this is competitive. We want to be as close to 2 minutes as possible. I'm going to start the timer. You ready?
All right, let's do it.
2-minute life story of Bryce Boettcher. Go.
2-minute life story. Grew up in South Eugene. Went to Charlemagne Elementary. For those of you who don't know, I actually am fluent in French. Je parle français.
Nice.
Yeah. Went to Roosevelt Middle School and then South Eugene High School. The Axemen, graduated in 2020. Grew up playing all the sports, football, baseball, basketball. Ran a little bit of track. My parents put me in everything just so, I could be the best athlete and best person possible. Fell in love with the game. I love, the outdoors. Grew up hunting, fishing, camping, the full ordeal. My mom, Cindy, dad, Brett, sister Emily, who lives in New York now, have wonderful grandparents on both sides. They kind of taught me growing up that, you have to work for everything that you ever get. That's kind of just blue-collar mentality, the way my family was. Just growing up, that's just kind of what they instilled in me. So I kind of brought that into high school, which, going into high school, I wasn't I was good at sports. I wasn't great by any means. I was just doing it because I loved the game. And then, some good things happened in high school. I had a good sophomore baseball season, started to get recruited, ended up getting a walk-on offer to play here at Oregon. Got recruited a little bit for football too, Air Force, Yale, some Oregon State, some smaller schools recruited me as a quarterback. But I was a 3-star dual-threat quarterback in high school. Always wanted to come to Oregon. Oregon never sniffed me at all, so I decided to come here and play baseball, and the rest is kind of history. So, I had a lot of people in my corner doing that, helping me out in those regards to get me where I'm at today. But, the rest is history once I kind of came to college, and, here we are living the dual sport dream of my life. So here we go.
Minute 35.
Minute 35.
Pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. Well done. Well done. Well, as you can imagine, I have multiple follow-ups. All right. Are you ever going to go to France? Have you ever been to France?
I have been to France. In 8th grade, we did an exchange trip over there.
Okay.
I lived with a kid. His name was Jean-Christophe.
Okay.
For a week and a half, I want to say, and then we went to Paris after that. It's like there was a group of, let's say, like 20 kids, or 8th grade class.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was super cool. And then actually 2 months later, they came over to Eugene.
Cool.
And then he stayed with my parents and I for about 2.5 weeks, same kind of deal, and it was a good experience.
Have you always, I guess now that you're older, have you recognized just how awesome it is to speak another language? Like, it is still pretty unique in the United States.
Yeah, it's super neat. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't really like it all that much. I mean,
Really?
I can't say I didn't like it, but I just, going to school, trying to learn math, trying to learn history, all those different languages, like in French, you're like,
right.
I mean,
It's wild. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, and then you get, like, my entire elementary school thing, like, we were learning everything in French. So then once we got to middle school, it's kind of like, okay, now we're starting to learn things in English. You kind of start to appreciate it a little bit more. But now, like, once I'm out, I've used French, I don't know, probably 5 times since I've been out of high school.
Really?
Not that many times. But the coolest part is, like, we were in the Holiday Bowl 2 years ago. I get in an Uber, like, after the game, and this dude's from Africa, and he's an Uber driver, and he's speaking French. And I'm just, like, having a conversation with him.
Awesome.
It's something I didn't think I'd ever do, but it's cool to just be able to have that skill set and be able to use it.
That's great. That's really cool. Okay, now I wanted to ask you about the quarterback aspect of your life.
Oh man, yeah.
When you were being recruited in baseball, were you an outfielder? Like, have you always been an outfielder?
No, I played shortstop.
That's what I thought.
And shortstop and third base in high school. I didn't really play outfield until I got here.
Now, most of the best athletes are going to end up playing shortstop in high school, right?
Yeah.
And then you kind of move around and figure it out. Okay, what about linebacker? How much were you on defense when you were in high school?
Not a lot. I want to say my sophomore year I played a good amount of defense.
Okay.
Because we had another I think it's senior or junior. I think it was junior quarterback who started over me to start the year.
Okay.
And then I kind of transitioned to that role like mid-season. I started starting quarterback. So, but then my junior, I didn't play any defense at all.
Okay.
My coach was like, "Hey, we gotta, have our quarterback be healthy.
Yeah.
No defense for you." And I was, we didn't really see eye to eye on that. I always, I told him, I was like, "Hey, man, I get it. Like, I'm a good quarterback, but I think I'm just as good at defense. Like, I need to play defense to help the team." And he didn't let me. Like I said, got in a couple arguments about that, but no big deal. And then senior year, we got a new coach, and he let me play some safety. I didn't play any linebacker that year, but I played some safety when they needed me. And
So you told me once that you just like hitting people. That you're just a guy and that's why I wanted to ask you, like, so you end up as part of your journey, and I want to ask you about if you could tell that story a little bit. Like, then you end up playing 2 sports at Oregon. Hadn't played defense in a while, right? So how did it happen? How did you end up playing defense here?
Yeah, I just knew, as you said, I love hitting people. If you watch some of my high school tape, I was also our punter, and there's a couple highlights of me, hitting people at linebacker.
You still got the leg?
Nah, I don't know if I got the leg, but my ability to just like pursue as a punter, and I had a couple highlight like hits from being the punter because they would get through everyone else and I'd hit them. But long story short, just like coming in, I was like, if I'm gonna do this walk-on thing, quarterback's too time-consuming. Like, I could do it, but it's like if I'm gonna invest in it, that's a whole deal in itself. And I figured the defensive side of the ball, obviously, it's a complicated playbook, just starting up, but I feel like it's a little more simple.
Yeah.
See ball carrier, hit ball carrier type vibe. So once I kind of made that decision, I was like, all right, we're just gonna go all for defense, and it worked out.
And see what happens, and then it's obviously
see what happens. Yeah.
Worked out well. So now as someone who grew up playing multiple sports, and you and I have talked a bit about this before, but I feel like this is a good time now that you've had success in both sports, Bryce. Like, how valuable is it, and maybe what would you say to people that are like, should I specialize in a sport young? Should I play multiple sports in high school? Like, I feel like you'll have a good perspective on that debate that often happens in households.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people would probably disagree with me, especially nowadays, but I would, obviously say, play every sport, because, that's what I did, and it worked out for me. I understand the aspect, people were like, hey, if you ever like specialized in one sport earlier in your career, you could have done something, I guess more special at this level, or gone and play, got drafted higher or whatever it may be. But I often say, like, no, I think that playing other sports helped me become a better athlete, helped me become more competitive, understand just what it takes to win. And just honestly, like, just understanding, like, sports as a whole, they all just intertwine.
Yeah.
I think.
I feel like, too, and I've talked with strength and conditioning coaches, Bryce, about this. Like, you end up as a well-rounded athlete, right? I mean, do you feel that way? I know training's a little different. I wanted to ask you about that between the two sports, but you're using more muscles when you're using both, or I guess when you're playing two sports, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think they're very similar. And, you know, I definitely did have to make a little bit of a transition over to football from baseball, but it's really not that drastic. Like, people have this idea that, you know, you have to change your body and type and whatnot, but, you know, I didn't really have to. You know?
Yeah, I think that's a really unique perspective, and obviously we all get excited to see two-sport athletes. I think that you're very unique. I'll put it that way.
Appreciate it.
Do you think about that, Bryce? Like you kind of smile as I say that, but like, how much pride do you take in that ability to play two sports at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, I take pride in it, but you know, it's just something that I love to do, and it's something that I've just always done. You know what I mean? So it's just a part of who I am.
Yeah,
I'd say. So, you know, I mean, obviously I'm confident, and, you know, I'm grateful in the abilities that God gifted me and my parents and whatnot. But, you know, I'm not trying to, you know, boost my ego by any means. Say I'm a two-sport athlete. You know, I try to stay humble, and, you know, I do realize what I've done. It's pretty incredible. But, you know, that's only a step in the right direction. You know, I'm trying to be in the Hall of Fame one day. So it's like,
I love it. Yeah. All right, we're going to talk about baseball here a little bit, but I do want to ask you to come back to your family.
Yeah.
I know that you and I have talked about this a little bit before, and I wanted to ask you again, just your family that helped you get here. You think about that as you come toward the end of your collegiate career. Just tell us about your family a little bit.
Yeah, you know, my family means a lot to me. They're the reason I'm sitting here today, no doubt. You know, my mom, Cindy, dad, Brett, my sister is incredible, probably one of my, you know, greatest friends and biggest supporters. You know, they, like I said, that when I was younger, it was, you know, sports this, sports that, you know, taking us to travel ball, you know, my mom making us snacks, you know, my dad providing us with, you know, the funds to do so and whatnot. So, you know, they were incredible. And even my grandparents, like, you know, my grandma and grandpa, Bruce and Bonnie, they live in Roseburg. It's about an hour south.
Yep.
They've came to literally everything growing up, baseball, football, basketball, you name it.
That's cool.
Still come to the football games. You know, they're 80 years old sitting up in the handicap seats, but they love it. They live and breathe it, which is great. You know, Scott and Judy, my mom's parents, same deal. They live up in Vancouver, Washington. That's where my mom's from. They've been incredible, too, just supporting my sister and I through everything that we've done. And, you know, they're sticklers on education, too. They've been huge on, like, always reminding me that, hey, I know you're here to, you know, play your sport, but you have to get a degree.
Yeah.
And I feel like I've always done very good at getting my education. I got my degree in 3 years, which is awesome. And
congratulations.
Thank you. Which is nice now because I can kind of take a step back and understand that I got the piece of paper and I'm good.
Yeah.
So, you know, I'm thankful for that. You know, my Aunt Karen, my mom's sister, is obviously incredible. My dad's brother, Barry, has helped a lot. So, you know, I just got a super big support system that's, you know, obviously been wonderful.
You are a very disciplined individual. I know that from a time management standpoint. I've observed that a bit. Where did that come from? I imagine your family's part of that too.
Yeah, I'd say, my mom and my dad. Whether it was, you know, take out the trash, do the dishes, it's not do it in 5 minutes, it's do it right now.
Right.
You know, I feel like some people now, you know, today's society, there's a little more leeway, a little more grace with that. With parents from what I've seen, but, you know, it wasn't really like that. I didn't really have a choice when I was younger, which is, I think it's good, you know, because it's rare to find nowadays. If you tell a kid to do something as like a coach, I feel like sometimes kids will, you know, ask why or do something else where that's not the way I was raised.
Well, Bryce, I'll just tell you honestly, my sons, one is 4 months old, one is just over 2 years old. And I am taking notes from the Boettchers here. So I mean that sincerely. Congratulations on everything so far, Bryce. We're going to get a timeout when we come back. I haven't even gotten to this. This guy's going to be a professional baseball player. He's been drafted. Let's talk about that. Bryce Boettcher with us when we come back on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
As a local community credit union founded by teachers, OnPoint is committed to supporting the students and faculty at the University of Oregon. And on game day, we're right there with you, on the field, in the bleachers, and in the classrooms. Drop by our local branch today and discover the many ways On Point can help support your financial well-being. On Point Community Credit Union. People are the point. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Dear autumn leaves, you won't be covering roads alone this season. Take on fall in the powerful Toyota Tundra or tackle trails in a Tacoma. Head to Toyota.com for more info. Toyota, let's go places.
Back to the Country Financial Studios in 60 seconds. This is Oregon football from Learfield.
Ma, is this how you feed a hamster?
I think so.
Is my homework right?
I think so.
Is, this milk still good?
I think so.
When it comes to parenting, sometimes it's okay to think you know. But when it's something as important as your child's car seat, don't just think. Know. Double check if your child is in the right seat for their age and size. It'll help protect them in a car crash. Don't just think. Know by visiting nhtsa.gov/the right seat. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Bryce Boettcher's with us. It is the Toyota Coaches Show. I'm Joey Mac here in the Country Financial Studio. Coming off an interception. Hard-hitting question for you, Bryce. Better feeling, diving catch in center field, diving interception on the football field?
Oh, man. It's a tough one, man. I guess it depends on the spot of the game.
There it is. That's a good answer.
Well, yeah, what part of the season we're in.
Yeah, that's a good answer. How'd it feel to get the interception?
Oh, it felt great. It was a long time coming. I was feeling it after the Oregon State game when I dropped one on the second play of the game.
I'm sure you heard nothing about that.
Man, I feel like I could never get away from it, so it was a good pick-me-up there. Funny story, actually, is we have this machine. It's called the Monarch machine. Spits out balls at you, and you catch them, and Coach Lanning preaches after practice to get on the Monarch. And that Oregon State week, I was lacking. I was not getting on the Monarch. I maybe got on it one time. And then going into the UCLA game, I was like, I'm 20, 30 balls, 40 balls after practice every day. I'm not going to drop another one. I get it. And as soon as I start doing that, Coach Waz has this saying that, the game knows, and the game knew. The game knew I was practicing on the Monarch, and, the throw wasn't great, but it came right to me, and, I got a pick out of it.
The game does know. I mean, how many times have we seen that?
Yeah. It's an incredible saying, and it's true.
Yeah. All right. Going down memory lane a little bit, I want to ask you something that I ask a lot of seniors. What advice would you give your 17-year-old self if you had a chance to give 17-year-old Bryce a piece of advice?
Yeah. I would say just live in the moment and enjoy the process of what you're doing. I feel like once I became a senior this year in baseball and in football, I kind of stepped back and I realized that this could be my last year ever playing any of these sports. And it gave me a different mindset. Like, I realized I still had to work my butt off, but then I took everything, and I didn't take anything for granted. I realized my teammates, spending time with them, just enjoying the sport, like the little things of the sport, like sliding into second base or, just running down the field in football. Just those little aspects, like tying my cleats up. The things you take for granted when you're freshman, sophomore. Man, another day of practice.
Right.
But once you kind of get to the end of the road, I think those little things and just enjoying the process of it is what helped me, obviously have a breakout year in both.
Yeah. Now, getting drafted in baseball. So take me through, if you could, like the whole process there. You have a great season. You're probably thinking, okay, I got a chance here. Then your name gets called. What was that all like for you?
It was obviously a dream come true, man. It was everything, all my hard work coming down at the end of the line and just seeing it happen, it was incredible. Also, I mean, at the same time, I still have that drive in my head that's like, this is a step in the right direction. Like, I got my name called, which is amazing, and it feels great, but I'm not satisfied. Like, I was sitting on the couch with my girlfriend when it happened, Bella, and like, obviously I saw a smile on my face. She was like, "Are you not like more excited?" I'm like, yeah, I'm excited, but I mean, this is like, I'm gonna go play pro ball, and I still have to work my tail off to get to where I want to be.
Right.
It's just one step.
Yeah. So then you have a decision to make, right? Do you come back, play football? I imagine there's a conversation. Will they let me do that? What was that? What was that process like? How'd you go about making that decision?
Yeah, it was a tough one, especially throughout the draft process, because I was out in Arizona for the combine, talking to my agent, trying to figure out what teams were going to let me come play football, because I knew in the back of my mind we're going to have a talented team. I'm not done playing football. I was like, if I were out playing baseball, which is a great opportunity, and the Ducks were to win a national championship, I would be sick. So it was just honestly, getting in touch with my agent, making sure he could, let the teams know that wanted me, that, football is definitely on the table, so we weren't, trying to sneak around teams and, that someone drafts me.
It's the right way to do it.
Yeah, I didn't want to be sneaky with it. And, there was a couple teams that said, no, we're not going to take him, just risk an injury and whatnot. But, the Astros were all in. They're like, hey, man, we just want tickets when we come down this fall. We think it's great.
Nice.
You're not
nice.
You're not. I mean, we haven't done anything like this before, but you're not going to miss much when it comes to summer. I mean, you're only getting some rookie ball at bats and some single A at bats. 100 at most.
Huh.
So yeah, they were cool with it, and I'm blessed that they allowed me to do it.
That's quite the thing. Well, on behalf of all Duck fans, thank you, Astros, for letting Bryce do that. Because now, Bryce, how much fun are you having on the football field?
This best year I've ever had right here. Yeah. Most fun I've ever had. It's amazing.
It's been a lot of fun to watch. Okay, now, again, going down memory lane, do you have a favorite game, favorite memory? Maybe this spans both football and baseball.
Yeah, as a player?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I would say baseball. Favorite game in itself was our last game we played at Oregon State at home. Mm-hmm. I may have went 3 for 3 with 2 homers.
You sure did.
And then
you sure did, Bryce.
And then the student section started a "Who's Your Daddy" chant on the pitcher, and they took him out of the game. That was pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah. As an Oregonian, that probably had some extra feeling.
Yeah,
I'd imagine.
It definitely did, and especially for it being my last one on the baseball diamond.
Right.
I'd say so. It was pretty fitting. As like a baseball team as a whole, I'd say the super regional when we played Oral Roberts. Like, it didn't go as we wanted to, but just seeing the city of Eugene come together was pretty cool. Football-wise, I'd have to say my first game in Autzen against Eastern Washington, just first time ever running out as a player on the field, just feeling the energy and obviously getting ejected for targeting was a dream come true.
There's not very many student athletes, I think, that would say that, but somehow, Bryce, it just fits with your mentality.
Yeah.
It just does. So you take so much pride in special teams, though. Like, I mean that sincerely, right? Like, man, as a gunner, I wouldn't want to be watching you come at me. I just wouldn't. I mean, that's kind of where it started for you, right, with special teams, the amount of investment you put into that.
Exactly. And, I mean, a lot of people don't realize is, that's how you get on the field. And that's how I made, how I made myself felt was, through kickoff. Like, came in, started hitting people real hard, and Coach Lord gave me an opportunity. And obviously made the most of that opportunity. So I realize now once I'm getting more snaps on defense that, that's where it all started.
Right.
And I feel like we've seen throughout the 3 years I've been here and in the past that special teams can change. Like our Boise State game, man. If we didn't have a good special teams unit, we don't win that game.
Right.
So obviously I think it's it's very important.
This is a bit of an unfair question, and you're going to be playing a lot more games, and maybe I'll ask you this later in the season.
Yeah.
But can you put it into words what it's meant to be a Duck?
What it's meant to be a Duck. It's hard to. I guess I can just say I don't know what in the world I'd be doing if I wasn't here. I'd say the University of Oregon has probably shaped me and saved me as a person, in entirety. Yeah. I'm forever grateful, forever in debt to the university and all the coaches that have, stepped foot and helped me out, and all the players that have been on campus. with me and alongside me. But that's really all I have for you. It's been unbelievable.
Well, I'll ask you maybe a few months from now.
Okay.
How about that?
Yeah, sounds good.
Bryce Boettcher, thanks for being a Duck. Thanks for being here tonight. We sure appreciate your time, buddy.
Thanks, Joey. Appreciate it.
Yeah, we'll ask that question later.
Sounds good.
We're going to ask you that question later. Bryce Boettcher. All right, when we come back to the Country Financial Studio, wrapping up the Toyota Coaches Show, getting ready for kickoff against Michigan State on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Hey, so what's a great way to spread awareness that driving high is illegal everywhere? A catchy song, of course.
You can run, but you can't drive high. You can run, but you can't drive high.
Friendly reminder, don't drive high. If you feel different, you drive different. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Are you prepared for an emergency or disaster? Because it's not a matter of if, but when. Don't find yourself saying,
when the storm rolls in, my time to find a pet-friendly evacuation center will have run out.
The scorching heat wave will leave me powerless to cool my insulin.
I'll face a hurricane without meds. Now that's a tough pill to swallow.
Let's prepare so we all have a better story to tell. Get started at ready.gov/older adults. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is your captain. We are going to be experiencing some slight turbulence. Please fasten your... Oh, hold on. Just got a video of my cat.
Imagine the pilot of an airplane was as confident as you are texting and driving. Seems kind of crazy when you put it like that.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Comes to a gun suicide attempt, all it takes is a moment.
Heather and I had an argument just like any other couple. I was lost. I had snapped. I had a gun and I was going to take my own life. Heather helped me realize that there was still a life to live for the better of myself, my family. My weapon is now safely put away.
A moment of crisis can happen to anyone. Store your guns, locked, unloaded, and away from ammo. Hear more safe stories at endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by Brady and the Ad Council.
We're back in the Country Financial Studio, and I got to tell everybody, we were just talking with Bryce Boettcher on his way out. And I got to give credit. Ryan Milano's here running audio. And Ryan, thinking about baseball, is like, hey, what about that home run against UC Santa Barbara? And Betch just paused and went, man, that was a good one, too. That summarizes Bryce Boettcher's career in a nutshell right there, by the way. Like, he has worked so hard to get to where he is, and he has had so many now great moments as a member of both the baseball program and the football program. You just can't help but root for him, especially being from the Eugene area, right? We've heard the phrase, you grow up in the shadow of Autzen Stadium, right? Well, Bryce Boettcher did that. And so cool to hear about his supportive family. So cool to see him grading out as one of the best linebackers in the country if you're looking at Pro Football Focus. Now, do the Duck coaches look at Pro Football Focus? No, that's for people like me and everybody else. But Coach Lanning said it earlier tonight, if you missed it, that they chart how much guys are around the ball, how much they're involved. Bryce Boettcher's right up there. As a linebacker, pass deflections, tackles, leading the Oregon team in tackles. Really awesome just to see the success in his career. Game day timeline coming up. It's a 6 o'clock kickoff on Friday. Number 6 Oregon against Michigan State. Televised on Fox. That means that we'll have a 4 o'clock pregame show across the Oregon Sports Network. 6 hours before kickoff, those parking lots open. High noon, the parking lots open. 3 p.m., the Mashofsky Center opens for everybody to hang out in the Mo. 3:45, the March to Victory. 4:30, the Seating Bowl at Autzen Stadium opens. Your concession item of the game is a limited edition commemorative souvenir cup available at all concession stands while supplies last. My thanks to Dan Lanning. My thanks to Bryce Boettcher. Jerry, Jorgie, and I will be back with you tomorrow on Duck Insider. We've got some picks and then kickoff against Michigan State under the Friday Night Lights at 6 o'clock. Thanks, everybody.
This has been the Oregon Football Coaches Show on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Presented by Toyota. Let's go places. Tonight's show has also been brought to you by Country Financial Insurance. Protect what matters. And by Pepsi and Bigfoot Beverages. Go Ducks. Drink Pepsi.